Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Number to join us on the program this morning. You can ask a question, make a comment, be a part of the program. Get yourself in the drawing to win a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate as well, is 888-250-2091. Some people say I say that too fast, so here it is. Extra slow-mo. 888-250-2091. All right. So it has been an incredibly busy week in the service centers. Of course, what happens toward the end of every sale or special offer is everybody makes their final decision who's been thinking about it, hemming and hawing over it, and they decide to come into the service center and get themselves their core upgrade on their holiday special or Schrock modular desktop. We have had some people bring in, other computers like Dells and HPs and things like that, and they're, a little surprised sometimes when we tell them that it just can't be done. And like literally, it can't be done. The main board that Dell built to specifically go in this specific computer housing, this case, will not run a processor that is better than the one it has because it was programmed not to. And we can't switch the board because, well, shoot, it was made specifically for this case, so we can't put in a different one. So it's a little bit of a challenge when we have computers like Dells or HPs or other computers that come in that need to be upgraded or updated to Windows 11, whose hardware doesn't match up. But with our computers, our modular desktops, if you've ever purchased any of our modular desktops going back in time ever, we can take any of them and make them Windows 11 compatible. Sometimes a little more work is required than other times. But the great news is especially if you've bought your computer in the last few years, there's a good possibility you only need one part to make it compatible. Microsoft also recently changed the requirements a little bit. They opened it up for a couple more processor types that were previously deemed as not compatible. So if you had your 2019 or 2020 holiday special desktop into the service center to have work done on it, and on your invoice it says your computer is not Windows 11 compatible, Microsoft has now changed the rules. Your computer may be compatible if you have that 2700X processor. Well, it is compatible if you have that one. And that was the 2019 and the 2020 holiday specials. So those don't even need any parts at all, guys. That's just labor to get the settings changed now and get Windows 11 installed for you. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, Microsoft is going to obsolete Windows 10 in 2025, which, you're worried about what you're going to have for lunch today. You're not thinking about 2025. Totally get it. But your computer is going to either have to be thrown away or upgraded before 2025. So that's just over 2 years. You may not have that computer if it's an HP or a Dell in 2 years. So if you have a regular computer, like a store brand computer, you're probably going to trash the thing before you end up in this problem. But if you have one of our computers, for example, you're used to having a computer that's going to last you 6, 8, 10 years, as opposed to 18 to 24 months is what you normally get out of a regular computer that you buy these days. So when you get one from Schrock, one of the things about it being modular is that we can change out the pieces, and we do that for upgradability and repair primarily. But this is a major upgrade. This is in some cases, we're taking computers and making them 5 or 6 times faster than they were before they came in because of the new motherboard with the new memory standard, new memory with faster memory. In some cases, a new hard drive just because we can. And it's a much faster hard drive. And of course, that processor, that current generation processor makes a huge difference in your ability to compute and process tasks and do things like that. So all the way around, guys, it is a pretty phenomenal opportunity to be able to upgrade your computer to run this stuff. Now, even if you don't want to run Windows 11, maybe you don't want Windows 11 because you don't want to change or because you like what you've got already. No matter what the case might be, I totally understand you don't want to do it. But what I'm telling you is we're running a special right now, where the labor is half off. It's 50% off the labor to upgrade your computer from Windows 10 to Windows 11. we very, very rarely put labor on sale, guys, because that's how we pay our people and that's how we pay the bills. I mean, labor is what we sell at Schrock. It's a service, right? That's labor. So when we put labor on special, it means that there's something really important. And I've tried over the last few weeks, if you've heard any of the shows, to explain to you the things Microsoft is doing now. They're putting all of the focus on Windows 11. Windows 10 is becoming the redheaded stepchild. It doesn't get any of the new features. It doesn't get any of the new ransomware protections. All these things that you're like, well, I didn't want any new features. Well, today there's an article we're going to talk about on the program. Microsoft says, you know what? We admit it. There's nothing we can do about it. The scammers are just too smart. We can protect your hardware. We can protect your software. We can't protect your wetware, and they're tricking you. They trick you every single day. So Microsoft says, well, there's some things that we can do to help make you less gullible or less easy to trick. And they give those new features, those ransomware protections, to Windows 11, not Windows 10. Or maybe they're available on Windows 10, but you have to manually turn them on. We don't turn them on for you. Gee, I wonder why they're doing that. They're trying to push everybody to Windows 11 to get them off of Windows 10 so that they can have everybody on one ecosystem and they don't lose these customers to some other operating system when they're forced to buy a new computer. They're forced to go to the computer store and say, should I buy a PC or should I buy a Mac? Maybe I buy a Mac this time. Maybe I'm not a Windows customer anymore. So Microsoft doesn't want to force you to do that, so they're trying to give you opportunities to upgrade and reasons to upgrade. And there are very good reasons to move to Windows 11. Number one, it is not terribly different than Windows 10 from an operator's standpoint. The start menu is 4 inches further to the right. That's the first thing you're going to notice. There might be a weather report on the screen on the taskbar, a little cloud and sunny cloud thing. That's all. That's the difference. That's the main difference you're going to notice. That's it. From under the hood perspective, Windows 11 is leagues more secure than Windows 10. In the same way, Windows 10 was hugely more secure than Windows 7, and Windows 7 was more secure than Windows XP. This is the forever march we're walking through right now. And if you're watching the news reports of what's going on in the world, you understand why this is important. There are state actors that they don't want your information. They don't want your social security number. China doesn't want your kid's TikTok ID. They want biometric data. They want to be able to disrupt your life by making you not able to pay your bills. If imagine what happens to the world if all of a sudden no one can pay their bills online anymore, just for maybe 2 weeks. What happens to the economy in the United States? Wow, what a way to impact your adversary. So it's not a you thing. It's an aggregate thing. You have to look at yourself as part of a larger organism. And by not protecting your technology, you are putting yourself at risk and the greater whole at risk as well. So everyone around you is telling you to do these things. You need to get Sophos. That will stop you from getting remoted into even if you do get tricked. You need to get Windows 11 because the protections are off the hook better than what you've got for Windows 10. But there are still people who don't want to do it. Now, sometimes if your hardware won't run it, your hardware won't run it. There's nothing you can do there unless someone like Schrock comes along and gives you a solution. Now, we run a report of all the computers in our database that are active customers. So customers we've seen in the last year, for example, that have Schrock-built computers, that especially those who have holiday specials. We even have drilled that list down to those customers that have 2700X processors, customers who don't need any hardware at all. All they need is labor. They need 1 hour of labor, $125 to change all the settings, install Windows 11, get them back up and running again. So we are going to start reaching out a little bit. So if you get a message from Schrock, that's what's going on. If you get a text message, that's what's going on. It's an important thing to at least consider doing. If it's something you're not going to do because there are reasons you don't want to do it, that's you. Our job is to give you options. And you can choose from those options for the one that best fits you and your family. But I would strongly encourage you to take a look at moving to Windows 11. It's a cheaper operating system from an operating perspective. It has fewer major updates than Windows 10 ever did. There's a lot going on for Windows 11 that makes it a good candidate to replace Windows 10, especially from a security perspective. Now, as I mentioned, the number to join us on the program this morning, if you'd like to be a part of the show, ask a question, make a comment, 888 888-250-2091. Last week on the program, if you missed that one, you can catch that on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. Just click on radio show. I went through that page and tried to make it a little easier to use because, I looked at it and I thought, man, this is kind of a complex page. Why is this so hard? It's like, I want to watch the radio show. Click. It shouldn't be hard. So I went ahead and made some changes there and tested all the forms and everything. If you want to submit a question via email, you can do that from the radio show page as well at the SchrockInnovations.com website. Last week, we told you a little bit more about the big 22H2 upgrade for Windows 10 and Windows 11 that's coming in just weeks. We'll talk about that briefly on the program today as well. We informed you about Apple's plans to move away from the Lightning connector. So if you use those Lightning connectors, every new Apple device that you purchase is going to use fewer and fewer of them. We explained the benefits of running Sophos. I got into the weeds on this one a little bit last week. For the sake of today's show, you need to run Sophos, and if you run anything but Sophos, the level of protection that you have is below standard. It's below what you could be having. It's not enough to keep you safe. If you have Sophos on your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa's computer, and the Microsoft guy calls them to tell them that their IP address is infected and tricks them or tries to trick them into, well, just let me remote in and take a look and see, oh, look at all these problems. It'll be $400. I can clean it all for you. Sophos will stop that guy from being able to remote in. Next, the guy will be like, okay, your antivirus is blocking me. You need to remove it. And so he'll try to talk you into removing your antivirus. Well, you can't do that either without calling us and getting a code. If you want to leave, I mean, we're not keeping you in. You're not a prisoner, but we want to make sure that no one is removing your antivirus without your consent. These are all the little things that you have to think about when you're taking care of someone's security. And right now, how much time do you spend thinking about the security on the devices in your house? Do you manage that actively? Some people do. Most people don't. That's what we do. Now, also, we told you about a new training program in Omaha that will train you for free to be an electrician. That was pretty interesting, right? I don't know. We started looking into it because my son was like, I could be an electrician, my 16-year-old. And my wife started looking into it. She's like, do you know to be an electrician, you have to know how to do stats and trig? I'm like, no, I've seen some electricians, and there's no way all those guys are doing stats and trig. I mean, is that like to be like an engineer to design things? I mean, I've wired up a switch, and I don't know stats and trig, So I don't know what the deal is with that, but we're going to keep looking into that. Coming up on the program today, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit more about the 22H2 update that is coming in weeks for both Windows 10 and Windows 11. There's no escaping this one. You need to get it. It's the first one in a year. That means anything. Also, Apple users, we have an important announcement for you. There's some updates. If you can't stick with us for that segment of the program, patch everything and patch it right the bleep now. Like right now. Do it. Like stop what you're doing and patch your phone. Huge vulnerabilities. Microsoft is admitting today that the scammers are just too smart and they can't be stopped. And of all the things, did you know that if you play Janet Jackson music on your computer, you can crash your hard drive? Yep. Don't do it. Do not Google it. You will blow up the hard drive of everyone around you too. That Rhythm Nation song is the real thing. And it will, I'm not joking, guys. It will literally crash your hard drive. Don't do it. I wonder if the sales of Rhythm Nation are going down, or if it's like the next malware, like click this link for this exciting Janet Jackson song. It's a new hit. And you click it and then, oh no, I blew up my computer. What happened, Thor? Oh, you were listening to Rhythm Nation again. Tell you what. 888-250-2091. Let's jump into those phones real quick. Bill, welcome to the program. How can I help you uncompute this today?
Yes, Thor. A couple of weeks ago, I had you guys at Papillion Shop upgrade my old 2012 holiday special for Windows 11.
Wow, all the way from 2012.
Yeah, and I mean, it was running great, but I thought take advantage of your offer to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got it back the next day because I was having trouble turning it off and restarting it. And what they did was they reconfigured the sleep setting to never sleep and to power off the monitor after 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the problem. When it goes to sleep after I've restarted it, it'll sit there for the 30 minutes and the monitor will go off.
Right.
Then I get the screen back. In order to get my desktop icons, I have to restart the computer. And that's not that big of a deal. But if I shut it down, say at night,
mm-hmm.
then I have in the morning I turn on the switch on the monitor, but in order to get anything to work, I have to recycle the power, literally unplug it from the wall and plug it back in.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a good deal.
No, that's not normal.
What I used to do was recycle the power every night, leave it on so, Secure Updater could work.
Okay.
And now I'm getting a message that Secure Updater renewal, a temporary subscription has expired.
Okay.
And I haven't done anything with that yet.
All right. So there's a lot to unpack here. So let me, when we do a Windows 11 upgrade for someone in your situation, a 10-year-old computer, we're replacing the whole core. We're replacing the motherboard, the processor, and the memory. So to address the going in reverse order, the Secure Updater problem, Secure Updater may be freaking out because it thinks it's in a new computer. It thinks you took your hard drive out of your old computer and stuck it in a new computer, which is in essence what we did. Now we typically go through and tell Secure Updater to calm down and change that before it goes out the door. So if it's freaking out, that's something we can address over the phone. We don't have to have you come in for that. Now the second problem that you're describing to me, of all the core upgrades we've done, and we've done dozens of them per service center. We had one other customer, Jenny in Lincoln, who's reporting something similar to what you're reporting. She had a 2012, 2013 era computer as well. We did a full core replacement, and when she got it back, she's had strange power issues. Now for her, it's that the computer wouldn't turn off. Like you go to shut down and it would just sit there, and the screen would go dark, but the fan would never quit. And then what we came back with after we looked at everything there is that her power supply might actually be bad. Now, what you're describing to me also sounds like a power supply that's failing. Now, we test that in the service center. When you come in, we have a low voltage tester. We hook it up to that, make sure all the voltages are running appropriately, but it's testing with like LED lights, on the tester. So it's not pulling a ton of juice. We've replaced the entire innards of your computer with new innards that, while they're incredibly more powerful, they also pull a little bit more power. Well within what your power supply should be able to supply, but still a heavier load. So it's possible that the 10-year-old power supply maybe couldn't keep up with that over time, and we might need to look at basically replacing that component as well for you. And unfortunately, that's something we would need to see in the service center to do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because if they turned off your sleep settings, the computer shouldn't be sleeping at all. The monitor should go dark, but literally you bump the mouse or touch an arrow key on the keyboard or something, and it should come back up like that. And if it's not, there's obviously something going on where the computer, which is ironic when you think about it, like it's using less power because it's not doing as much, and it's not coming back from that. It sounds to me like the power supply can't ramp up and provide the power to do that. And of course, the computer doesn't know what to do with that because, it doesn't have any power. But that's the first thing that we would try for you. Now, you do have a 30-day warranty because we just did this work within 30 days, so there won't be any labor charges or anything on bringing that in. But let's get it back into the service center. I know that's if you need us to pick it up, Bill, we're happy to do that for you. But let's get it back into the service center so that we can take a look at it and make sure that power supply is doing everything we need it to be doing. We'll put it through a Prime 95 stress test and really push the computer all the way up and see if the power supply fails. And that'll tell us for sure.
All right. Yeah, no problem, Thor. I'll get her over there.
All right. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. 888-250-2091. And, Bill doesn't really need it right now, but he's got himself in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Going to take our first break of the program, guys. When we come back, we're going to get to Gary and Greg. Your calls are coming up. Also, Apple users, we have an important announcement. There are some really important updates that you need to install immediately. We're going to tell you what's going on coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation. The modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute this pro tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. You know, listening to those spots, I literally, in the data recovery lab in Omaha this week, I had 2 customers who sent data recovery drives, so drives that had failed, off to national companies to have them recovered. And they're like, it came back and it was like $1,800. I can't do that. And so they brought it back. You know, they said, well, I'll take it to Schrock. You know, he says that they can do it cheaper. And the problem is once the drive is opened by another company, we don't know what they did to it. So we have to change a whole bunch of stuff just to get it back to the starting point and then try to diagnose what's wrong with it. It makes the job way harder to do, takes a lot more time. So there's an open drive fee that offsets any savings you'd get from going locally. So when we call you back, yeah, we can get it, but it's going to be about $1,800. And they're like, I thought you were cheaper. Like, well, if you would have come here first, it would have been more like $1,100. But you didn't, and that's water under the bridge now. But to get the data, when we think we can get it, it's going to cost about this much. We have about a 96.8% success rate in the data recovery lab, recovering your data. So if you do have a situation where your hard drive fails, you know, we want you to have Drive Advisor installed on your computer. Drive Advisor is not perfect. It doesn't detect every single failure because some failures are spontaneous failures. But what Drive Advisor does do is that slow roll fail where you have a piece of technology that's not working the way it's supposed to, and the smart status in the drive is reporting to the computer, hello, I have a problem here. And most of your computers are programmed to ignore that. All the store brand computers are programmed to ignore that. Like, I can't hear you, la, 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 la. You know, just get through the warranty period, Mr. Hard Drive, and we'll be fine. You know, so it fails on the customer's dime and not Dell's dime or HP's dime. When they fail, when those drives go bad, they start reporting it. So Drive Advisor picks up on that report and then alerts you with an email. And then if it's your C drive and you're a customer who's been in our service center before, we will actually pick up the phone and call you and say, you know, Sally, your hard drive is dying. I once said that on the radio, and I had a guy on Facebook was like, yeah, right, like you're going to pick up the phone. And no, literally the system auto-generates an email to the front desk of the service center where that customer was last in, telling the front desk, please call Sally. Here's her phone number. Her C drive on her computer named this is failing. Like it's a system we have at Schrock. We do call. Now, we don't call for your backup drives like your G drive or whatever, because you'll figure that out on your own, and it's just a backup drive. But those C drives, especially if they're under warranty, we want to get you in so we can get you fixed for free before your warranty expires. It's kind of the opposite of what everyone else does, and that's one of the reasons that Schrock is known for the service it's known for. Last week I said, if something happened to Schrock, where would you go? Like, if we closed our doors tomorrow and said we were done, who would you go to for computer repair after that point? The well is not very deep, and there's nobody that does what we do. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of special. We do it every day, so sometimes my guys forget that what they're doing is pretty cool and pretty special, because to them it's just another Tuesday, So, I have to remind them sometimes and let them know, hey, what you guys are doing is really important here. 888-250-2091. Gary, welcome to the program. Gary, number 1 on line 2. We have multiple Garys. Gary, welcome to the show. How can I help you on Compute This?
I want to do a backup on my computer, and I bought an extra hard drive, but I'm being told that you don't want to use the free Microsoft Service backup because it's no longer being supported, that you should use a third-party backup service. Is that true?
Well, there's 2 different backups inside Windows 10 and Windows 11. There's the file history backup, which works just fine. It backs up just your files, not your programs, not your settings. Then there was the Windows 7 image backup, which is what we loved back in Windows 7. It doesn't really work anymore. It's no longer supported, and it doesn't do it. You won't be able to restore you'll get your files back, but you won't get your settings and everything back, and that's the whole point of an image, right? So that's not something you want to use anymore. So if you want an image backup, probably one of the best backup software suites out there is called Acronis True Backup. You can get it from a consumer for about $30, and it will save an image to your external hard drive of exactly what your hard drive looks like. So if you came into our shop and said, my hard drive died, Thor Drive Advisor came up and said, damn, son, then if it's that bad, you come into the service center, we put a new hard drive in it, you give us your backup drive, and we can restore using Acronis, we can restore your image. And it's literally, the computer is exactly the same as it was the day it went down. So that's some good software there. But if you're looking for a free alternative or a free option, or you just want to back up files, the Windows file history is amazing. Now, one of the other things that I will mention, back in the day, those of us who have been using computers for a long time, we used to save stuff wherever we felt like saving it. We'd put it on the C drive. We'd create folders. We'd move them in the folders on the C drive. It's great. Well, then along the line somewhere, some snot-nosed kid came up with the idea that, like, dude, all your files should be like in a user folder, and that way when there's like other users on the computer, like all their files aren't mixed together with your files, because you don't want to really see your dad's stuff. So cool, man. And so what happens now is all the backup programs out there are keyed to focus on those user folders. So if you're old school and you save stuff on the C drive, or you save your important files in the recycle bin, those files aren't going to get backed up. Those of you who listened last week know that's not a joke. That was really a caller. Those files will not get backed up because they're not part of the user folder anymore. So if you're going to use the Microsoft software, make sure that everything you want to back up is in the user folder. How do you do that? You put it in your documents folder. You put it in your pictures folder. You put it in your music folder or on the desktop. All those are part of your user folder. Just if you go into some wackadoo place like on the C drive and just save it on C colon slash, that's not going to get backed up by automatic software like the free stuff from Microsoft. Acronis will get it because True Image is an image of the entire hard drive. If that makes sense.
Would you do a full system restore versus the file and folder, or what would you do?
Depends on what you're running. If you're running software that's difficult to set up again, or that you don't have the activation keys for, we see this a lot with like AutoCAD and things like that, where customers, I used to work at the university and I had Microsoft Office, and then I retired. Now I don't get it for free anymore, so I really don't want to have to reinstall it because I won't be able to without buying it. Then, if you're that kind of person, images are great. If you, on the other hand, are more of a document, you're more worried about keeping a backup copy of your documents and your files primarily, like you have a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, things like that. The file history has some extra benefits. that as you make changes to documents, it will save all the different versions of those documents. Every time you save it, it backs up that save so that you can go back in time if you accidentally overwrite a file or do something you don't want to do. You can go back in time and look at the file history. That's why they call it the file history backup. You can look at the file history of that file and go back to any moment in time when you were editing it, which is kind of nice. So file history backups will take up less space on your external hard drive than image backups will. File history backups are cumulative, so you're always adding to it. I set mine to only start deleting stuff when the hard drive gets full, and then it deletes the oldest versions of every file's history. Your image backup, however, is taking a complete snapshot of your entire hard drive every time and saving it. And it's not incremental. It's a complete image. So it can fill up a hard drive really quickly using image backups. So it requires a little bit of space management to make sure you're either keeping a differential backup or you are only keeping the most recent image. But yeah, it just depends.
I guess I was worried that if there's a crash on my computer, I would want my operating system back or whatever. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, that's an image backup. Yeah.
Okay.
Now your operating system can be reinstalled on the computer using your Microsoft account, so that's not a problem. As far as credentials go, it's not like the old days where you had to have a code. Now Microsoft's smart enough to figure out what computer you were on and that it's got a Microsoft account, and it will activate it with a digital license.
I've got two computers. Would you recommend using both computers to put on one external backup drive, or use a different external backup drive for each one computer?
Depends on the capacity of the drive and how much data you're backing up. The larger external you get, the more fragile it is. So, if you think I'm going to get a 16 terabyte external drive, welcome to the Data Recovery Lab, my friend. If either of those computers is a desktop, I would actually recommend that you have us put an internal backup drive in. We can mount one right inside the computer, so there's no need for externals, and it'll automatically do its backups then, and the drive is always connected. But if it's a laptop, it's up to you. I would have a separate backup for each one. But if you only wanted to have one drive and you got a drive that's big enough, you should be good to go.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the call, Gary. We appreciate it. We're running way late here, guys, so I've got to take a break. I'm supposed to take a break like 4 minutes ago. So when I get back, I promise, Greg, Gary number 2, and Apple update coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. A disturbance Saturday night at the Kentucky State Fair leads to arrests.
The Kentucky State Fair did say that they were made aware of a situation, and they said that the Kentucky State Police are helping them investigate and that they immediately went to work to make sure the area was secure and just as a precaution started doing a soft close of the fair.
Dakota Sherrick of WDRB Fox Louisville reporting officials say the fair will resume normal operations today. A threatened strike could keep Philadelphia kids from heading back to school.
The local union representing workers in the Philadelphia school district, such as bus drivers, custodians, and others, voting yes on a potential strike if they can't come to an agreement with the school district by August 31st.
Marcus Espinosa of WTXF Fox Philadelphia reporting. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Our almost picture-perfect weather will continue through the weekend and into the coming week. The forecast calls for sunny days and clear nights. Sunday, sunshine, the high 84. Monday, back to work, more sunshine, the high 86. A little warmer midweek. Tuesday's high 90 and Wednesday, 93. I'm Wendy Wild.
62 Omaha Council Bluffs, 61 in Lincoln.
Alrighty, guys, thanks for sticking with us through the break there. I appreciate you joining us today for Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. And during the break, I got a spam, right? It says, final notice, water shut off. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is going to be like trying to scam me into calling the utility company, right? No, as I read it, they're trying to scam me into buying a dehumidifier because of the mega drought that's going to make everyone turn off everybody's water like tomorrow, and you'll die if you don't have water. So get the whatever dry air water fountain thing. It's a dehumidifier. The dude's selling me a dehumidifier in email. I'm just like, he's got a YouTube video too. John Gilmore. Look him up. He's real deal. Real patriot. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. Now, real quick, before we get into it, I want to make sure I get to this Apple story. Basically, there was a vulnerability announced in all across the entire Apple ecosystem. So this is your iPad, your iPhone, your Apple TV, your MacBook, everything. The entire ecosystem was patched. Apple released a security update for iPhones, iPads, and Macs after disclosing a series of vulnerabilities that could allow attackers to secretly take complete control of your device. The company said it is aware of a report that this issue may have been actively exploited. All right. Let me translate that for you. That means it's happening to people in real time right now. So that's why this is important. Suggesting that hackers have already targeted the vulnerabilities to compromise Apple's devices. Apple released 2 security updates, the first relating to issues affecting the iPhone 6 and later models, all models of the iPad Pro, iPad Air 2 and later, iPad 5th generation and later, iPad Mini 4 and later, as well as 7th generation models of iPad Touch. Was your device not mentioned in any of that? You are vulnerable. Apple is just choosing not to patch you because your device is too old and Apple hasn't received any money from you recently. Therefore, sorry. The second security update relates to vulnerabilities in Mac OS Monterey, Apple's desktop operating system for Mac. So if you have an Apple desktop, there are desktop updates for you to process as well. In both cases, the vulnerabilities could allow cyber attackers to execute arbitrary code at kernel and WebKit level, which ultimately allows attackers to run malicious code on your device. In other words, they're going to bypass your antivirus. Even if you're running Sophos, this is a vulnerability that goes completely past all defenses and allows an attacker to literally have complete control of your computer and all of its contents. So super important if you are in the legal realm, if you are in the healthcare realm, if you are, why would this be important? Who would use this, right? Well, the number one is a ransomware person, somebody who wants to infect your computer with ransomware. If I can hit your Mac and run any arbitrary code that I want to, and your antivirus can't do anything about it, I'm going to run ransomware infection code and encrypt all your files and demand a ransom. This is one of the things, there's a term in the military called a squirter. And a squirter is when you have a military operation that's pinching the enemy and one of them squirts out the back. Like somebody's getting away. Somebody's running out the back door. Well, Microsoft has been putting the squeeze on all of these ransomware attackers by shutting down macros. That's why it's important to make sure you have a supported version of Microsoft Office on your computer, not an ancient version, a newer version within the last 5 years, 2016 or newer, because Microsoft is giving you updates that are going to keep your Office products safe. They also turned off remote desktop protocols in all Windows 11 computers. Windows 10 users can do it manually if you really want to. Windows 11 users get it done for them automatically. Those two things have dramatically reduced the number of ransomware infections on computers. And so as Microsoft squeezes, this is the squirter. A lot of people are going to jump on this. A lot of the ransomware guys are going to say Mac users have lots of money because they buy ridiculously expensive computers. So therefore, we're going to attack them. And because we can take complete control of their computer, we can delete their entire iCloud from your Mac because your Mac has access to your iCloud and your phone has access to your iCloud. Then we can encrypt everything on the local device. So even if it is re-uploaded to the iCloud, it'll upload the encrypted versions. Hot diggity. Yeah. So it's important to make sure you run your patches on your Apple devices. Okay. Make sure you do that today. Also, I haven't mentioned too much yet on this. Windows 10 and Windows 11 22H2, the 2022 half 2 update, which is a little misleading because there was not a half 1 update. They're only doing it once a year now, but it's coming. Microsoft is saying September. Microsoft is usually a month late, so we're calling it October. They've been a month late every time they've ever done this, so we're calling it the October update. It's scheduled for release sometime next month, but we think it'll come in October. This is an upgrade to your operating system. If you have Windows 11, this is a difficult concept for some people. Like if I have Windows 10, I have Windows 10, right? No. You have Windows 10, and then inside of Windows 10, there are sub-versions of Windows 10. And if you get more than 2 versions behind, you no longer receive security patches for Windows 10 anymore. It's Microsoft's way of keeping everybody on the most recent version of Windows 10. So what's going to happen is right now, your computer is automatically downloading this update code and saving it to your hard drive for later execution. When Microsoft flips the switch, the first computers that are going to get this are going to be computers who have been tested to get it, that Microsoft believes it'll run fine on. And then it's going to go down the line to ever increasingly risky computers until Microsoft has everybody upgraded. What we've seen happen in the past, blue screens, failure to reboot, boot loops where it just keeps rebooting over and over and over again, or worst case scenarios, lost data where it reboots, but it's like a new profile, like a brand new computer. You have no information. Your programs are there, but not your data. We've seen all of those things happen. They tend to hit the same people every time. That's why we created a product called Safe Upgrade. Safe Upgrade installs these huge updates, not the regular little Windows updates like we're talking about right now, but the big updates, like the one that's coming in October. It installs that safely the same way we would do it in the service center. It checks the hardware first, checks your security situation next, then it downloads the update from our secure server in its entirety because Microsoft only downloads the pieces of the update that it thinks your computer needs. And if it's wrong, the update fails. We download the entire update. So it takes a little time. On a slower internet connection, it'll take a little time to download. But once it downloads, it'll install on your computer, and then it's good to go. You also get a warranty on the installation. So if you are that person that always has something go sideways, you've got somebody that you can get help from without paying a bunch of extra money, which is important. Now, because we are a 15-person company and we have tens of thousands of customers, we have to limit the number of Safe Upgrade licenses we make available. And the reason that we limit it is because if something does go sideways and everybody using Safe Upgrade reports an error, my staff can handle 600 customers. My staff can't handle 20,000 customers. And so we have to limit the number available. So we launched it about a week ago. We had 600 licenses available. We're not going to sell out today or anything, guys, but we have like 197 licenses left. So that tells you that many people have used this product before. That many people know the value of this product and what it can prevent from happening, that multi-$100 computer repair bill. And for $65, it's almost like a little insurance policy to make sure that doesn't happen to you. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, I would encourage you to take a look at SchrockInnovations.com. You can click on Shop and Specials. It's right there. You can purchase it on the website. I'd encourage you to purchase it on the website, mainly because we deliver it from the website. So if you call us, you can buy it in the service center or buy it over the phone. We're not going to deliver it to you over the phone. You're going to have to go log into your Schrock account, which is required for you to purchase it. So it's good. We get a lot of password requests on launch day. Let's just put it that way. So it's good for you to have a little refresher. What's your Schrock password? Get yourself logged in. If you've ever been to a Schrock Innovation Service Center before, you do have a Schrock account. If you just came in with a computer for repair, you may have been automatically assigned a password. So you may need to do a password reset. 888-250-2091. Greg, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This?
If I call the Schrock desk tomorrow, can they tell me if I need the number 11 upgrade, or is it something that can be done through the Schrock desk?
Oh, yeah.
Bring the computer in.
Oh, no, absolutely. We can give you a quick check just to see what's going to be required. So what they'll do is they're going to check your processor first. They're going to see what chip you have. From that, we can figure out what kind of motherboard you have, and from that, we can figure out what kind of RAM you have, memory. And so those are the three components that we typically have to replace if we replace anything. We can give you a really precise quote right over the Schrock desk, or if you've had your computer into us before, you may not even need to get connected to the Schrock desk. We may have your processor information on file, and we can just check it for you.
All righty, thanks.
All right, thanks, Greg. Appreciate the call. Greg also got himself in the drawing there for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. I see what you're doing, Greg. Smart man, smart man. Gary, number 2, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
I have the same question as Greg.
Oh, okay. Well, it still counts.
My case is a 2008 version. It's been upgraded with a CPU and a hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if that particular case is what it would cost. And I'll probably call the office and they can tell me tomorrow.
Sure. Is it one of our computers?
Yeah.
And you said it's running Windows 8, correct?
That's when I bought it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so definitely.
But I'm on Windows 10 now.
Perfect. So yeah, we can definitely check that out. I mean, if you mentioned you've done a CPU upgrade, so it's possible we may have already upgraded you to a compatible processor. But if we haven't, basically then we might need to upgrade your board and your chip. But here's the thing. When you look at the cost, Gary, of doing, let's say it's the worst case scenario. Let's say you have to do everything. You need a motherboard, you need a processor, and you need the stick of memory. Well, we're talking $300 for the chip, $150 for the motherboard, so you're at $450, and $100 for the RAM. $550 is $100 and something, almost $300 cheaper than buying a new computer, even the cheapest computer, and then having a data transfer done. It's $400 cheaper than buying a mid-range computer. It's 66% cheaper than buying a new holiday special. I mean, it's amazing the savings that you can achieve if you have a Schrock modular desktop. Upgrading it to run Windows 11 is a money-saving decision far and above buying a new computer. So definitely, Gary, give us a call. We're open Sunday from noon to 5. We're also open on, of course, Monday through Saturday from 10 in the morning till 8 in the evening. Give us a call. We can get connected on the Schrock desk or look you up in our system and let you know exactly what you're going to need so that you can know before you come in kind of what you're up against. And of course, we test everything before we do the upgrade to make sure that all the other components in the computer are working properly as well. Thanks for the call, Gary. I got you in the drawing here too. 888-250-2091. Final break of the program. When we come back, Microsoft is admitting that the scammers are just too smart. Those Nigerian princes, you can't keep up with them. Speaking of can't keep up with, you can't keep up with Janet Jackson either. She's trashing hard drives all over the map. We're going to tell you what song you don't want to play on your computer coming up next on Compute This.
Now you can configure and purchase laptops, desktops, tablets, and more, all at the new SchrockInnovations.com. Check out our specials for one-of-a-kind discounts and deals.
Remember the good old days when virus detection worked like Where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the striped shirt and you win. Today's infections are changing hourly to avoid detection and use social engineering to trick you into making mistakes. Using yesterday's security to defend against today's threats is like using leeches to stop an infection. It just doesn't work. We recommend Sophos Intercept X, antivirus backed by Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI to detect the patterns of a virus attack and responds with Schrock's custom actions that stop it fast. With Sophos on your PC, Mac, Android, or iOS device, you get the state-of-the-art protection you need to defend against the most advanced attacks out there. In fact, if your device gets a virus while running Sophos antivirus, Schrock will remove it for free, guaranteed. It hasn't happened yet, and we intend to keep it that way. Ditch your dad's antivirus and keep your device, data, and identities safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Compute this pro tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys. Oh, nicely done there. Nicely done, Mr. Radio Man. You guys, Janet Jackson for your morning there. This isn't the song, is it? What song is this? Oh, good. Whew. You scared me. I'm like, you can't. That would, if you play the song that crashes people's hard drives through their computer, Scott, you can't do that. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the Data Recovery Lab, folks. I'm glad to have you here today. My name is Thor, and I'll be your guide through this wonderful process of data extraction and recovery. 888-250-2091. All right. So Microsoft is admitting that the scammers are just too smart. Microsoft is saying we can introduce whatever technology, any technology, but the Nigerian princes, the email scammers, the people who are worried about my water getting shut off, so I need to buy a desert thin air dehumidifier that can produce 10 gallons of water a day from desert air. Amazing stuff. I live in Nebraska. I don't need to drink water. I can just breathe. Like, the humidity in the air is enough to sustain your soul. Well, what Microsoft is saying here is, especially if you are a corporate user, the scams are getting more and more precise. You know, used to be they'd send out a bajillion emails to, your Bank of America account is overdrawn. And you're like, I don't have a Bank of America account. The other half of America is like, how did they know I have a Bank of America account? And I'm like, they didn't know. They just sent that email to everybody. So let me tell you a story. I clicked on a link the other day. So it's one of the data recovery companies that makes the cutting edge hardware is Ace Labs. Ace Labs equipment is incredibly expensive, and that's why data recovery kind of costs as much as it does. And it's highly technical, and a lot of it's even made in Russia. So, I mean, it's like, it's got all the dink, 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 So I get an email saying, Ace customer, we want your opinion, click here. And we've recently purchased more Ace equipment. So it was logical for me to get an email from Ace Labs, right? But so I clicked the link and it takes me to Ace Hardware page when they went a survey where I can get $100 to use at Ace Hardware. And I'm like, I just got scammed. I thought it was Ace Labs. This is Ace Hardware. Now, every day, every hour, I get emails about Home Depot, your Home Depot cards and Lowe's cards and Ace stuff and everything else. I can't stop them from coming. I had to create rules in my email that says anything that says Home Depot, send it to trash. Just send it straight to the trash because it's trash. Or send anything that says my Lowe's or my Makita drill set, my free Makita drill set, anything that says, I'm getting like everything hardware related now in spam email because that's how sophisticated it's getting. I flew on Southwest Airlines to go to Vegas with my son. When I get back a couple days later, I get an email that says Southwest wants your opinion on your experience. My flight was delayed over 6 hours, so I'm very eager to give my opinion. Seems completely reasonable, right? I hover my mouse over the link because it looked like it was just weirdly not formatted. You know, Southwest is a big company. You think that they'd have somebody there they specifically hired to make their emails look pretty. This was just text. It was weird. So I hovered my mouse over the link because you're never supposed to click a link in an email, right? And sure enough, it was not going to Southwest. I was like, oh my gosh, I almost got nailed again. So guys, they're good. They will trick you eventually. You're going to get an email that says, this past due invoice needs to be paid. And it's going to look like it's coming from somebody that you actually use for business stuff or personal stuff. So you may double click on that to open it, and then it may infect your computer, especially if you're using an outdated version of Word. That's one of the ways they get in. So long story short, guys, the best way to protect yourself is by following some simple rules that even I don't follow sometimes, but because I'm smart, I'll figure it out. No, you have to follow some simple rules. Number one is never click on a link in an email, even if it's an email from someone you trust, even if it's an email from me. Go to the website, look for the link on the website. If I send you an email saying, hey, go to SchrockInnovations.com and get yourself a copy of Safe Upgrade, you know, there's only 192 of them left, don't click the link. Just go to SchrockInnovations.com, go to Shop and Specials, and you'll see that now there's only 191 left. And you can buy yours. You need one for each computer that you want to safely upgrade. So you might need to buy two. So anyway, be careful with your emails, guys, because Microsoft is even saying there's no technological solution. Now with Sophos, we block risky websites. My wife was doing some stuff with her Cricut, and she was looking for some designs for her Cricut cutter the other day, and Sophos shut down a website she tried to go to because it tried to attack her computer. Sophos just closed the window. Done. It popped up an alert. We protected you. So we have tech that will help keep you safe, but if you're going to let the guys in, we even can stop that from happening in some cases. But if you literally install the software, they walk you through installing over the phone, there's nothing we can do to help with that, unfortunately. So if you ever have questions, be sure you give us a call at Schrock. Last on the program today, guys, you all know who Janet Jackson is. Apparently, apparently she has a song. Of course she has a song called Rhythm Nation. Now, are you familiar with the concept? Like, when soldiers march across a bridge, if they march in rhythm, they will create their boot strikes on the bridge. Each boot strike is insignificant to the bridge, but all the boot strikes together over and over and over in rhythm will create a resonance where each future boot strike is magnified, louder, harder, harder, harder until the bridge will collapse. That's a real thing. And that's what Rhythm Nation does to 5,400 RPM rotating disk hard drives. So if you have a cheap laptop that has a rotating disk hard drive in it, most of them are 5,400 RPM. If you play Rhythm Nation out loud near the computer, not even on the computer, if you're in the room and someone else plays Rhythm Nation, the exact resonance frequency is in that song that will cause your hard drive to have a reaction just like those boot strikes on the bridge and blow up your hard drive. It is a scientific fact. You can look it up. So don't play that song on your computer unless you want to be that guy at the coffee shop just blasting Janet Jackson really, really loud. People might look at you funny, but it's just because you're trying to crash their hard drives, I'm sure. Today's winner is Gary. Congratulations, Gary. You got yourself a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Marissa will get that into your Schrock account tomorrow. We'll see you for the After Schrock in next week.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA furniture. This is News Radio 1110 KFAB Omaha, an iHeart radio station.